to this computer.
Hey, we're ready to rock and roll. A roll call, please.
All right, Chair Gary Delvo.
Here.
Vice Chair Matt Schuler is excused. Debbie Dean.
Here.
Alder Kathy Hinkfest. She's muted, but here. Steve Scrubus. Melanie Crum is excused, and Renita Robinson is excused.
I'm off mute now.
The bottom line, we have a form that counts. Motion to approve the agenda, please. So moved.
Second.
Second by Alder Nicholas. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Regular order of business. Number one, consideration of possible action on development agreement 25-04 with Broadway Realty LLC for the redevelopment of Zero Busher Street, tax parcel 21-1229, and authority for the director to approve his collateral assignment subject to legal review. Very good, thank you. Matt.
All right, so first I need to make a minor correction. We've already approved a development agreement 2504. So that was a mistake on my part. So I think we're gonna call this one 2506 since we've already assigned 2505. Anyway, we received a request for TIF assistance to help cover the cost of public infrastructure. So this will support a new single family subdivision development, which will be called the Pines. This is a roughly 10-acre lot located on the city's east side, tucked away kind of west of Leon's Avenue, north of Decknar a little bit, south of Morrow Street. This is an urbanized area of our community, but for whatever reason, this particular large site never developed. So we're here today to help make that happen. The property is currently valued at around $493,000. The developer is proposing to construct 41 single-family homes. These are smaller, primarily two-bedroom houses, which are planned to be rented for market rates, but could be potentially sold as owner-occupied units in the future. After construction, we estimate the property will have an assessed value of around $9.5 million, conservatively. The developer has submitted an application for TIF assistance. He has demonstrated a funding gap of approximately $2 million. Staff is supportive of supporting the project through PAYGO TIF assistance, specifically just to cover the costs of public infrastructure, such as the construction of roads and public utilities. The project is not currently within a TIF district, so one would have to be created. We've reached out to our consultants at Ehlers who have confirmed that those properties would qualify for the creation of a 27-year rehab and conservation district. This one's a little bit similar to the Southwest Woods project that we approved last year, where we created a rehab district, recognizing it's an urban part of our community, but underdeveloped. And in order to support developments, assistance is required for public infrastructure. So the proposal would be, we're doing that here through PAYGO TIF. So the developer would be able to get reimbursed their annual
As it's developed.
as it's developed for over the years.
Great. Very impressive. Questions, comments?
Question for, so this is going to be all single family homes and that's what it's zoned for?
Yes, this was actually taken through Plan Commission earlier this week. So it did receive approval at Plan Commission. We'll go to council on Tuesday of next week for the changes to the zoning to support this housing, single family housing development. Yes.
Okay, so it won't, when we change the zoning, it'll just be for single family, correct? Not, we can't change it to apartments or duplexes or anything like that?
I think the zoning would allow for two-family. It would allow for single family and two-family homes.
Two family, okay, but not apartments.
Yeah.
And that's a question that we get, you know, at the council. This is a 10-acre lot. Having single family homes is awesome. So this would be something I would think that the community would be really pleased with.
I agree. Steve, like that?
The developer is here, if you have questions.
Okay. Debbie? Questions?
No.
Okay. With that in mind, I will entertain a motion.
So, I'll move with the correction of the number, the 06,
25, yeah, what you mentioned, 25.
1506, yeah.
Motion by Steve,
I'll second.
second by Alderman Lucas. Questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roger, good luck, guys. Beautiful. All right, number 2. Consideration of possible action on development agreement 25-05 with MOWGS LLC. I'm not sure, I'm afraid to pronounce it wrong, so I just spell it out.
Mogs.
Mo's.
There you go.
Was it
Mo's.
My
Okay.
Mogs.
Dude, you're killing me.
For the redevelopment of 501 South Washington Street, tax parcel 15-169, and authority for the director to approve a collateral assignment subject to legal review. I like that. I like this, give the director power.
Well, that saves another trip. to the-
Absolutely, absolutely. Matt again, please.
All right, we've received a request for TIF assistance to support the rehab and conservation, conversion, of Fire Station 1 into a multi-tenant commercial building. You may be aware that, last year, the city of Green Bay purchased that building next door, former that building next door. Part of that deal was what would essentially be a trade. Property trade. So the former owners of the Press Gazette obtained control of Fire Station 1 at that time, among other properties, through a planning option. Per that arrangement, the city would sell Fire Station 1 to the former owners of the Press Gazette for $1, but it would be contingent on an approved development agreement. Former owners of the Press Gazette sold that planning option in control of Fire Station 1 to this developer, who is now seeking that approval of the development agreements along with TIF assistance, so that we could transfer ownership and they can proceed with their project. Per the draft development agreement, the developer would improve the building in 2 phases. Phase 1 would be to improve the second story into Class A offices. And then to white box the first floor so that it can be marketed to a potential tenant that would open, that would be a business focusing on retail or food and beverage. Phase 2 would be the build out of that first floor to support that tenant once they've been secured. The developer is requesting PAYGO TIF assistance to help cover the costs of this rehab. Staff is recommending PAYGO at 85%, recognizing that this is a difficult conversion of a really old building. It helps that the property is currently valued at $0. Once it's on the tax roll, the assessor is conservatively estimating the property will be valued around $1 million. But depending on that build out, that ultimate improvement made to that first floor to support that future tenant, it could be much more, right? We don't quite know yet. These are concepts that the developer shared with how this space could be improved to support a restaurant or usually a cafe or brewery. So options are being evaluated, but the development agreement would limit the uses towards those specific kinds of businesses. So retail or food and beverage on that first floor. Again, PAYGO TIF assistance, so nothing up front here, just transfer the building for $1 as was previously approved. And then PAYGO at 85% to support the conversion. Again, the developers here, sir, we are all happy to answer any questions you have.
85% is kind of a dread. Only thing here, especially the older building, a lot of work.
Yeah.
My place to have.
Gaps haven't gotten any smaller, and
Fortunately. Alder Incas.
The 85%, I mean, usually we try to stick around 80, but I know we've been going up above that 80, and I'm assuming this is to close, the gap.
Yeah, the developers identified a pretty substantial gap, so that 85% would allow us to get closer to closing that.
Okay.
This would be funded through the new TIF district that is being created for 2025.
Yep.
At our last meeting, we had that approved. It'll go to council on
Yep.
Tuesday.
That's the one where the apartments are coming in on the river, right?
Yes, yeah,
Because that's right, they're really close to each other.
correct.
Back
Mhm.
up. I did the facility assessment on this building years ago. There's statements about it needing a little extra love and definitely not lost on me.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta hear from Lacy. Lacy, any thoughts?
No, I've just, I think Matt captured it, but just again, just reminding people, because I know we've, it probably wasn't, apparent that the city used the option to purchase this building for $1 as a partial payment for the Press Gazette building.
Okay,
So understanding that the city has, received something in value for it.
excellent.
Mhm.
And make your, keep not your full thing.
Oh, okay.
Council, that's easy, of course.
That's
Debbie,
okay.
questions, comments?
No, I'm just glad to see that there's going to be office above. So they're vacating and nightlife can go on.
Thank you.
Yep, I agree with you there, Debbie.
What's that?
I said, I agree with you there, Debbie. It's a really
Yeah.
nice, we had to put, something in
Mm-hmm.
for
I-
nightlife.
I'm curious, there's a lot of timelines that are all intertwined on these moves, right? Like, the development at the old Press Gazette building to happen for this to vacate right, I mean, there's a couple intertwined timelines. Are they all aligned and like, is that gonna work out? I mean, it's not entirely our business. I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they've not been operating at Fire Station 1 for quite some time.
Oh, yeah, for.
Yeah.
Right, admin offices for.
So there are some items there, I believe, that need to be relocated, but it's not an operating fire station, it hasn't been for. Year.
We can't open it up to the developer if you want. I personally think it's necessary, but if some, the group wants to, we can hear from the developer. Up to you. Okay, okay.
I think it's, I mean, part of the deal when we did this, trade with the Press Gazette,
Yes.
is that the RDA would look at the use of this, and this certainly activates this building.
Yep.
Compared to, selling it for someone to put storage in there,
Absolutely.
something inappropriate, so.
Opportunity that's been downtown
Right.
further south.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I would strongly make a motion to approve. It's great.
Motion by Steve,
Second.
second by Debbie. Any questions, comments in regard to the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Exciting project, guys. Good luck. It really is. Very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you very much. Number 3. Consideration of possible action to authorize staff to award the KID 25-01 400 to 420 South Broadway demolition and site improvement to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and to authorize up to $250,000 in TID 22 funds for project costs that are not eligible for grant reimbursement. Oh, Matt, you've been a busy young man. Which is not unusual.
Well, I didn't have anything on the last of this, so we're making up for it today. All right, so this is to support our Badger redevelopment on South Broadway. We've been at RDA several times in the past few years to talk about this site. And we're very excited that we're at this stage now where we are able to proceed with contracts very soon for the demolition and initial site prep remediation work for the Badger sheet metal site. We are out to bid now. Public Works is managing that process for us in close coordination with our consultants at Stantec. You might recall the Redevelopment Authority did secure $1 million in federal funds through USMPA for cleanup of this site. So we would apply those dollars towards this project. So we are out to bid now. We've got a date to open the bids and select a contractor on the 24th. We have a very aggressive timeline to try to get this property ready to go for the developer.
Mhm.
Deadline to spend as much, the $3.5 million as possible that they've secured from Brown County ARPA dollars. To support their affordable housing development plan here, along with that fire station. So we are requesting authorization for staff to select the most appropriate bidder for the demolition work. So the lowest responsible bidder. That would be the request. Additionally, we are requesting authorization to spend up to $250,000 in funds from the shipyard TID 22. Just to cover any additional non-grant eligible expenses. We don't anticipate needing that much. We would just like that opportunity to use those funds should it be necessary. When we had our consultants estimate the cost of all this work, it was a little bit north of $1 million. It was not quite 1.1 million, but those estimates are estimates, and they were prepared some time ago. So you won't know what the cost is until we receive the bids, but hopefully we won't need to spend it.
You haven't got bids in yet?
No.
Okay. Do you have any idea how many people are gonna bid on it? Not really.
We did do a walkthrough of the building, I think it was Monday or Tuesday earlier this week, and there was a number, I'm not quite sure how many, but there were several entities there who were interested.
Excellent.
Expressed interest in some.
Excellent.
What happens if it's over 1.25?
It will be right back here to talk to you.
Fair enough.
But by having several bidders to open that should help to improve.
Yes.
Number,
Yes,
maybe.
yes, and this is probably the first of maybe 2 phases of some site prep work we'll need to do here. Part of the scope of work is to put in a green infrastructure corridor on the south edge of this property, which would take more excavation and removing spills. We weren't quite ready to proceed with that work yet. So we'll have another round of bids
Okay.
later.
Good. Questions, comments?
The only question I have is, we have $1 million, you said it came in like maybe 1.1, but it's just an estimate.
Yeah.
You wanna wait and request this when you know what the amount's gonna be, or what's the strategy of requesting it up front? Just to know that it's allocated?
Just to know that it's allocated, it's not levy dollars, it's funds through the TIF district.
Right.
Available. So it's just, for us to be able to move quickly. We're concerned that with timing, and us being able to deliver a site for the developer on time. So, yeah, it just provides us that ability to move quickly.
Thanks, Matt. Makes sense.
Any other questions or comments?
Your timeline, if you don't.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Alder Pincus, it's a motion to approve.
Second.
The second? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Steve
yes,
seconds.
please.
All right. Any questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please say by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Excellent job, guys. You guys are making things happen.
36, 32. I tried them on, it perfect. They were too
God,
long.
these projects are awesome.
Absolutely.
You're
Absolutely.
done. So all you can do is return those other ones.
How many else on here? Whatever.
You can hear Ron, Debbie.
We're gonna have quite an agenda on Tuesday, aren't we?
Yes. You are.
I'm glad we get a quorum, so you keep you guys, keep it moving. We don't want to be a group that holds it up.
No, thank you very much.
You're doing dynamite work. And now we got full-time Lacey, we're ready to rock and roll. Not that you weren't full-time before Lacey, but now you're actually recognized for your efforts. I'm sure they're keeping you busy, oh my gosh. Let's see, last thing, informational, director report, project updates.
You know, I just gave you that report last week. but
Yes.
Something has happened. The
Oh.
Green Bay Housing Authority approved the initial resolution to support your bonding project for the purchase and rehabilitation of property we call 400 Mineral Plaza, which is the high rise downtown.
Yes,
So they'll come in and purchase that building and put, I think the bonding is like 27 million. They're gonna do full remodel on that building, new management, security, and the whole kit and caboodle, so that'll be a big thing plus for our downtown. So,
I see, Brian, I seen yesterday that Ed Policy wants to meet with the mayor and have a beer with the mayor. We'll see how that works out, right? I'm sure you've been thinking about it. That's great, that's good, it's good news, I think.
I have nothing to add.
Nothing to add. Okay, that's fair. All right, yes, before we, Steve, please.
I was gonna say, welcome to work,
Oh, yes, make a motion to adjourn, please. Steve, make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second by Alder Interest, all in favor, saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
No, just everybody.
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks. Bye.